Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel, whichever that may be. This is the final video for the National Model Railroad Build-Off series that I was doing. This is going to be a video with a lot of pictures and me voicing over it, and a short video clip. The first there were the cars that I weathered up, and I did them in the same way as the pickup truck. And then I assembled some of those barrels that I bought that were 3D printed. And then I wanted to weather up some of the cars that I was going to use on this diorama. And at first I was going to just make them really rust buckety and just on the last leg. However, I wanted to also reuse them, and in order to do that, I looked up pictures and tried not exactly the same cars, but other prototypes that were the same make of car, and just went through and used a foam brush to weather these up with just blotching like others do. Same kind of deal as the pickup truck and the other cars, but just went color by color with each car, and I think they turned out pretty good looking. The next thing was getting the power poles broken and painted up so that they weren't that darkish brown that was very clearly plastic. And I also painted the barrels a yellow. I then went through and added a little bit of rust to the barrels as well. One thing I wanted to do and try was having the barrels be something spilling out of them, and tried a green LED, but it was a little too bright and ended up having to dim it down with the Arduino that I was using to control it. And as I'd been looking at the diorama, I noticed that there was more missing to it, and that was, some kind of grass area to it, and ended up buying a static grass applicator and some static grass, and just went through and added it to the diorama. I started off doing just a few little spots as a test, and it looked so good that I continued and added more. I then added the rail crossings in there. I just took some wood and cut it to be, I think it was like about 8-foot length in terms of real life measurements. And then I took Sculptamold and used it to breach up to the tracks and that, and then blended it in with some dirt, like it had been brushed over the road a little bit. And here was some of the final pictures that I did once everything seemed to be all complete, and is kind of a test to see how it looked and if I needed anything else. And went on from there, realizing I needed some pallets and that would add some additional depth to the diorama as well. And also made up a few more sticks of wood to have that on hand as well. And then just went through and added the pallets here and there, got the barrels glued in, and then got the lights put on here with the barrels. And now we'll pick up with the video clip. Here is the final reveal of the National Model Railroad Build-Off diorama that I worked on this year. As you can see, I went a little different with it, as you've heard and seen in the previous videos. Angle it down just a little bit. And I wanted to do kind of a dystopian is how it turned out, as what kind of my inspiration was, or some kind of post-apocalyptic venture that happened. I went with that mainly as something different, but also I wanted to have the buildings be a little dilapidated that I could then transfer onto the layout if I wanted to. And I'll also post some pictures of the diorama itself that I took, and will be uploading them to the contest as well. And so that is what I've been working on since the beginning of March, and the toying of ideas of what I wanted to do with it. And so that is that. Let me do one other thing quick, and that is get some of the lights that I had on there. Let me get that replugged in and show you guys that. So I'll be back in just a hair. All right, here are the lights that I have, and I wanted to have the flickering in the buildings, and wanted to have, wants to rotate back around, but have these barrels that have something leaking out of them. And I'll throw pictures up of this as well that's showing the lights on there. They look a little better in picture form. So that is the diorama. And as I said, I'll end with some of the pictures. Here are the measurements. The diorama had to be 2 foot by 3 foot for the nscale ones. And then just a couple of pictures of the top down, and then also pictures that I went out and found an area just off the side of a road that looked like it would fit in, and the weather was somewhat cooperating in that it made it look a little darker because a front was moving in, and luckily the wind died down enough that I could go out and get these pictures and not have to really worry about the diorama blown away. And I think that they turned out really well for the theme and what I was hoping for. But anyway, this is the end of it, and I've had a lot of enjoyment in doing this and having something that, you know, could come home after work and just let my creativity go and see what I could do to add pieces here and there. When this video comes out, there still will be about a week of time left for people to submit their dioramas and enter the contest. But if I make it on to the next stage, I'll post a video on that and go from there. But hopefully you've enjoyed this series as it's come out, as I have. And we'll see everybody in the next video. And thanks for watching.